there was a discussion between Rav Yehuda, where between Zutra Bar Tuvia was reading in front of Rabbi Yehuda, and he said, what were the Divrei Rishonim? He didn't know, and he felt embarrassed, and so he did Nazifa. But now the Gemara takes a little piece and goes through the continuation of the psukim there, and tries to explain what some of the other psukim in the Divrei David Ha'achronim. So Tet Zayin Amud Bet, and it's 14 lines on the bottom. Amar Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani Amar Rav Yonatan. Maidachsi, what does the pasuk mean? It's a very difficult pasuk. Neum David ben Yishai. These are the words of David ben Yishai. That makes sense. Neum Hagever Hukam All. And the words of the person who is Hukam All. What does actually Hukam All mean? The Gemara doesn't really know how to translate that. Well, no one knows. I don't know how they translate it there in Steinsaltz, whatever. But
maybe it was raised above everybody.
Yeah, raised above. He's higher, he's greater, but surely it's an unusual term, and stands out as very different. Okay, here. It's the beginning of Perikov Gimel. Eila Divrei David Ha'achronim, Neum David ben Yisha, Neum Hagever Hukam All, Mashiach Elokei Yaakov, U'Neim B'Zimros Yisrael. Okay, so the man who was raised up on high. Okay, so it would refer to David. And the rest of the pasuk was also referring to David. Mashiach Elokei Yaakov, Neim B'Zimros Yisrael, the sweet singer of Israel. This is all David. But it's an unusual term. Hukam Al. David speaking about himself, and he's above everyone else. Who does it mean? So Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani said to Rav Yosef, what does this mean? Neum David ben Yishai shehekim olo shel tshuva. This is David who set up the obligation or the responsibility of doing tshuva. And this refers to probably the story of Bathsheba, where he realized he was wrong, and he does a sense of tshuva. David was not perfect, and he never really lives this down, and so therefore David is writing about himself. I'm the person who set the way for recognizing we made mistakes. Okay, and then the pasuk continues. In the Hemshech the Psukim, it says 2 Psukim later, Amar Elokei Yisrael Li Diber Tzur Yisrael Moshe Badam Tzadik Moshe Yeres Elokim. So when the pasuk is quoted, Amar Elokei Yisrael, the God of Israel said, the God of Israel said, okay, and Li Diber Tzur Yisrael, the Tzur Yisrael spoke to me. That's another word for God, famous usage in.
So this is a third person saying, Hashem spoke to me, right? It's got to be a third person, because it's not Hashem quoting himself saying.
No, David is saying the Spirit of Hashem spoke to me.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
David, these are the words of David, the last words of David that follow after the Shiras David, which is before it. Okay.
And what did Hashem say?
So, well, and what does Hashem say? And by the, I just want to say Tzur Yisrael is, of course, how God is referred to in the Megillat Atzmut, the Declaration of Independence. Right? They don't say God. Famous, but it's where it comes. They didn't make it up. They took it from here.
Sure.
Right? Moshe, and that's the same place. But that they took it from here.
Yeah.
This is where it's from.
Yeah.
Moshe ba'adam tzadik. So Hashem says that he rules. He that rules over men must be just. That's a simple pshat. Moshe Yeres Elokim, ruling in the fear of Hashem. So the simple meaning of the pasuk is that the person or the being that rules over man is a tzaddik. He's referring to God as a tzaddik, and he rules and ruling in the fear of Hashem. So in other words, there's a sense of fear of Hashem that causes everything to rule here. But the term tzaddik is not a term we normally talk about God. Tzaddik usually refers to an individual.
Absolutely.
So my kamar. So once again, this is the Agadic drash. Amravo hachi kamar. Amar Elokei Yisrael. Hashem, the God of Israel says, Li diber tzur Yisrael. This is what Hashem said to me. Ani moshel ba'adam. I rule over people. Me moshel bi, but who rules over me? Tzaddik. Not the simple pshat, God rules in a way that's just, the tzaddik over people. God rules over people, but who keeps me in line? The tzaddik. In other words, I have my rules for the world, but the tzaddik I bend the rules for. Okay, the tzaddik has the inside track. Shani goes there, Shani goes there gzera muvatla. I make a gzera and I'm forced to eradicate it or disregard it because of the tzaddik. The tzaddik who lives in this world, such an example that he forces me to change this, not just for the tzaddik, for the entire world. Okay. So this is, once again, this has nothing to do with our Gemara. It has nothing to do with Nazifa or Cherem. It's a continuation of the psukim. And then it continues a couple psukim later. It says, and this is after all these, about 5 psukim, it says, Eila Shmos HaGiborim Asher LeDavid, Yoshev B'Sheves, Tach Kamoni. In fact, some of the pasuk is missing, so I just have to read you the whole pasuk because you'll see the Gemara darshans it without giving you the pasuk here. Eila Shmos HaGiborim Asher David. These are names of the warriors that are David. Yoshev B'Shevet. I lost the place. Yoshev B'Shevet Tach Kamoni. That Yoshev B'Shevet may be a name of a person, and Tach Kamoni is surely a name of a person. Okay, so he's listing the names of the warriors. First warrior's name was a guy called Yoshe B'Shevet. Next guy's name was called Tachkamoni. And then it's clearly afterwards, there are other people mentioned. Rosh HaShlishi, Huadino Ha'etzi. The third warrior is Adino Etzi, and he is over Al Shmona Meod Chalal B'Pamachad, and he was able to be chief over, he used the spears against 800 people, which he killed at one point. At the same time. So in other words, the pasuk is mentioning, looks like ostensibly, who are the warriors of David HaMelech. Right. And then the list goes on a little bit later in the parak as well. So the drush is that we're not really interested in who these warriors are. Everything here is about David. My kamar. So Rabbi Vo, same guy Rabbi Vo says, I'll give you the drush. Hachi kamar. This is the identity of the power or the strength of David. What did he do? Yoshev B'Shevet. That's not the name of the warrior. David himself was sitting, did something with sitting. What would he do? So the rule was when a rabbi gave a lecture, he sat on a higher area and the people sat on the ground. He sat on what we would call maybe the equivalent of a chair, right? And people sat on the floor. They didn't have chairs, they had cushions. They had something to raise them up. Not just that was soft, it also made them higher. So
in this week's Haftarah then, it specifically mentions Giborim as being people. Adoniyahu didn't invite the Giborim to his festival. To his festival, it appears as if there really are people.
Giborim are people. Giborim are only people. It's a very unusual drush. It's an extremely unusual drush. Okay, I agree. It's a drush. It's a drush that's nothing real that it's based upon.
Okay.
In fact, if you read the parak, it seems to be a list of who the warriors are. You have Adino Etzi, he's the third guy. Then you have Elazar ben Dodi, he's also the next guy. And then it refers to more Giborim, and use the term Giborim, and more people and more people. So the simple meaning is not what the drush is.
Yeah. Okay.
But the assumption is that if they felt this was the last words or the later singing of David, it was something about David that we're talking about how great he was.
Okay.
It's not shot. Okay. But it's trying to, a lot of midrashim seem to make David HaMelech into a great scholar. A rabbi. He's not just the shepherd. He's not just the king. He's not just the warrior. He doesn't just write Tehillim. He is a person who is equal in stature to all the great Tanaim Amoraim. Okay, that's how he is viewed in the lineage. It may be true. So we want to make sure we can portray him in that kind of fashion, similar to the way scholars were portrayed in the days of the Gemara. We don't know necessarily that scholars were sitting on cushions in the days of David HaMelech. This is an anachronistic kind of impression about what David was doing to show that he was a scholar, or what he was not doing, as you see in a moment. So what did David do? So whatever this is, we know that if it's talking about David, it's something about sitting. Okay? So, but you must admit that Yoshe B'Shevet is an unusual name for a warrior.
It is.
Okay?
Sometimes they use names in Tanakh which describe not a person's name, but his position,
Right.
his position or his
function or his whatever. Absolutely.
His
Physical
being,
characteristics.
His being.
Well, we know
like,
that the Nevi'im sometimes name their kids. Yeah.
Hevel, it's like vapor because he passed away and nothing was left of him. So sometimes the names aren't really. What's his name? Cheshbon, the king of Cheshbon. So
I mean, you have to think of native names. I don't know Canadian native names. It's Sitting Bull.
Right.
Sitting Bull, the great warrior, and
right.
Exactly.
Dances with
Running
fingers.
no, but I'm saying Sitting Bull was a very famous
But Tanakh, they want to make a point. They want to show a person's
running bear.
But running bear is running. Sitting Bull is sitting. Sitting Bull doesn't sound like this is going to be the chief who fights the white man.
I got it.
Okay, anyway, here we go. Back at the ranch. So he's Yoshe B'Sheva. What's he doing? B'Shasha Yoshe B'Shiva Loha Yoshe B'Karm V'Kistos. When he was sitting in the yeshiva, and this means literally the yeshiva, he was teaching, so to speak. When he was sitting and teaching, he did not sit on cushions. Ela Gabe Karki. He sat on the ground. So this was a symbol of humility. As great as he was, right? And this goes back to what we said before when it talked about Hukam Al, the man was great. What do we say? It didn't mean David was saying he was puffing himself, saying he was great. He brought up the Ola Shel Tshuva, the yoke of Tshuva, the responsibility of Tshuva. So the same thing here. David HaMelech sat on the ground. How do you know? Or what does it mean? The Kolkama, the Have Rabbi, as long as his teacher, who was Ira Hayeri, I don't know who this guy is, okay? But his teacher was alive, Kayam. So his teacher used to sit on cushions teaching all the scholars.
Right.
Kinoach Nafshe, when his Rebbe Ira Hayeri died, so David took over, and David becomes the leading sage and scholar and teacher. Havimasni David Rabbanim, David would teach the scholars. Haviyasava Gabe Karka, and he would sit on the ground. Okay.
This is before he became king.
No, after he became king. Even while he was king, he still remained humble. Wow. This is all about. Midrashim are very, very common. They portray people in. I'm going to be careful how I say this, but in an exaggerated type of format. The tzaddik becomes
hagiographic.
Okay, hagiographic. The tzaddik becomes a bigger tzaddik. The Rasha becomes a bigger Rasha. The Anav becomes a bigger Anav.
Hagiographic.
Okay.
But
so
is he allowed to do that?
Is the Medrash allowed to do that?
No, he's a king.
Well, you see that when it comes to Torah, the king it's not that important. Torah is the greatest value.
No, but there's
you're right.
There is a thing.
Correct.
Correct.
The king can't be mochel cover. So the fact he's not mochel cover, he's just sitting on the ground. Okay, so you'll see they say this there. He's sitting on the ground. Amalahu. So they said to him, who says to him? The Talmidei Chachamim who are sitting and learning from David. Lace of Mar. This is such an anachronism. Mar is of course the way the rabbis refer to each other in the third person. Okay, well, Mister. They don't say you.
Right.
They said Mar. Okay?
Right.
So of course if they're really referring to David, they'd say, Melech David or something like that. Leisev Mar Karvakasto, sit on the cushions. So Lo Kibul Olei. So and he didn't accept them, and he continues sitting on the floor. The end of the pasuk is, and this, once again, unfortunately, the Gemara didn't give you the full pasuk, but the next pasuk is after saying Yoshe B'Sheves, it says Tach Kamoni.
Right.
That apparently was the next guy, the second Gibor's name, Tach Kamoni. It's a very nice name, okay?
Right.
Tach Kamoni. Okay, there was a famous school in Europe which combined study of Torah and study of secular studies called Tachmoni. The YU is like the YU of Europe. Very, very.
There's a street in Jerusalem, I think, by that.
So that street is named probably after a great scholar who was also modern. I'm trying to remember his name. It escapes me now, who took the name Tachkamoni as like a pen name because based upon the idea of Chacham. Chernowitz. Okay, Chernowitz. Okay. So Professor Chernowitz took that name Tachkamoni. But the school was called Tachkamoni in Europe. But Tachkamoni here refers to a scholar. But when it says Tachkamoni, this of course can't be a warrior. It can't be a warrior like it looks in the pasuk, because the pasuk's not talking about warriors, it's talking about David. So what does it mean? Tachkamoni. It's God responding to David. Amar Rav, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Rav adds the Medrash of Rabbi Avo. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Hoel v'ishpalto atzmacha, seeing that you denigrated yourself and put yourself down, tehei kamoni. You'll be just like me. What do you mean you'll be just like me? Shani gozer gzeira v'yatam avatlo. I make gzeros, and you will cause them to become nullified. So you're the tzaddik, one of the examples of a tzaddik whose righteousness causes me to change all the evil decrees based upon the schus that you're there. It doesn't mean that it's only for the tzaddik. I understand it to be like the story of Sodom and Amorah. Because there had been so many tzaddikim, Sodom and Amorah wouldn't have been destroyed. The schus it impacts upon the entire region. Okay, and then the pasuk continues, and after mentioning Yoshe B'Shevis and Tachkamon, it says Rosh Hashalishi. Now we have Rosh Hashalishi. Here it's Rosh Hashalishim. So it means hey Rosh L'Shlosha Avot. You're going to be the head of the three Avot. Okay, in other words, you're going to be equal stature. Okay, with Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov.
In what way?
And I guess when Mashiach comes, you'll be as great as leading on the big podium there. In other words, we normally put David down a couple of notches,
at least,
right? But sure enough, if you think about it in the Shpizin, right? Obviously, Yaakov, Moshe, and Yosef, and David is put in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
is Aaron.
So is Aaron, correct? But notice what this is really saying is that he's going to be there. Together, not just as one of the seven, he's going to be equivalent to the first three. We're always viewed on a higher level.
He's going to be the head.
In fact, you're going to be even the head. Okay, Rosh L'Shosh Avot. Okay. Okay. So one of the explanations is that we have a bracha in the Haftorah, right? Magen David.
Yeah.
First bracha, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have Magen Avram, we have a bracha of Avos, and yet in the Haftorah, the bracha after Haftorah is Magen David. Okay, so by the way, that's the one place where you really have Magen David in the liturgy.
Right.
Yeah, we have some Magen David as a Jewish symbol. It may not be such a Jewish symbol. It's a much later symbol. If it is a Jewish symbol, the original symbol for the Jewish people is with the menorah. Menorah. Okay, we have a lot of primitive scratchings of menorahs. We find we have no Magen Davids. Okay, the Magen David does come up in a shul. I think in the 3rd century somewhere in the Mosaic. It also comes up in some manuscripts very later, like 7th, 8th century, maybe 9th century, and then of course Magen David picks up after that. Mm-hmm. But we do find
what's the source of it, may I ask?
What's the source? That's an excellent question.
Like the menorah, we
question
know.
Really, what is
it? For Hanukkah, right? But what do we use a Magen David for?
Yeah. The two triangles. You've heard the story. This was the shield of David HaMelech. No one knows where that. No one really knows where that comes from.
I think in other cultures, like the two triangles in some way or other, symbolize that.
Okay. But the bottom line is Magen David is there, and it is the Haftorah after. There's bracha after the Haftorah.
Well, because he's in the Nevi'im.
Which by the way, the question is why is that Magen David? Now, of course, the answer that the Rishonim would say that's what the Gemara is telling you here. You see that he's Magen David, so he's like Magen Avram. Mm-hmm. But the real reason why it's there is because if anything, the Haftorahs are mostly words of rebuke.
Yeah.
So it fits into the concept that David HaMelech, who sinned with Bathsheba, recognized his error and corrected his ways. Okay, somewhere that David becomes a symbol. I know it's hard to imagine because if anything, David HaMelech looks like the sinner, right, which is covered over.
Is there any question about that?
But I'm saying, but the concept becomes he actually recognizes his fault and is able to go on and build from there.
Wouldn't it be Yisrael, the people who sinned with Chidam Meraglim,
the people,
the people, right?
Yeah. But all the other sinners you read about go down, right? All the bad guys, they don't.
No, it's clear that in the Tanakh itself, it's clear that David is chosen, if you take the quotations, by Hashem to be very special. Whether he deserves is another story in terms of his behavior, not just with Bathsheba, but in general, the Plishtim and lots of other places. But clearly,
Wish they did it good.
when he said he was crazy, remember that was trying to scare whatever he did.
Look, here we see that the big thing about David is that he did tshuva.
Correct.
And
he's not perfect. You see, he's not perfect. And that's the story of the Haftorah. Haftorah is about that we're not perfect. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't destroy us.
Yeah.
That's why they say that's the bracha of Magen David after the Haftorah. Why David was chosen, not Magen anything else. Forget Magen, right?
But he's not the only, surely, even the only king in Tanakh who did tshuva or whatever, right? No, I think he, for whatever reason, he was chosen very special. I think that's
Mashiach comes from him.
By the way, just
that's how special he was.
in some medieval Sfarim, Magen David is called Chotam Moshe Shlomo. Just that you, David doesn't have the monopoly on this thing. Okay, I read an article once that I'm trying to remember if that the in the menorah. Let me see if I remember correctly. I think it's the Sharon. What's a rose? What's a rose in the Hebrew? Sharon. Okay, so the rose is, we normally say it's but it's really it's not a rose. It's like a lily. It's like a lily. And the lily, if you when it opens up, all right, it has six petals.
That's it.
Right, and I once read an article where if you look at it carefully, you can actually draw the outline of a Magen David in it. And this might be the reference to in Shir Hashirim, where it is referring to where HaKadosh Baruch Hu refers to the Jewish people as the Sharon, that the connection to the Jewish people is therefore it comes the Magen David comes from that. I don't know. Okay?
It's
very mysterious.
Today in Israel,
The significance of the 6,000 years.
No, six petals on this lily. 6 petals on this lily, and when it opens up, it looks like a Magen David.
Because we know that in the Mashiach time, that's the seventh. That's millennium.
Right, and this,
after
let's
6.
see if I remember correctly, and this flower is the one that is suggested when it says in Menorah Kaftov Perach. Right, there's the symbols between the perach is the once again it was like a 6-sided flower on the menorah, so it becomes an extension of the symbol of the menorah. It's all a big drash. Okay. It's an interesting article, but no one really knows the Magen David. Bottom line is, it is possible that the Gemara therefore equates David to the Avos, and one way we see it is what we call Magen David, right? Otherwise, it's hard to really understand what does it mean that he is the Rosh for the Shlosha Avos, right? Okay. Anyways.
You could say he's the Rosh because Mashiach comes from him, and because of the resurrection of the dead, the Avos will come up.
Excellent. Okay. So. See, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov can't give Mashiach, and David does. Excellent, good. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu agrees that it was good that David HaMelech sits on the floor, and he's Rosh L'Shalashim, and then the Pesukim continue, and after saying Rosh L'Shlishi, this is the third warrior, and his name here is Adino Hoetzi, okay, which they quote here, Hu Adino Hoetzi. So what does that mean? So Adin means to
Adin is delicate,
right? And Etzi means like eights. So once again, they're reading into the names of these warriors, not their names, but attributes about David. We don't really find these people mentioned anywhere else. Right? These are not the standard warriors people hanging around David. Tachkamoni, Yoshe Besheves, Adino Etzi. So it must refer, therefore, it can't be warriors, it's got to be something about David. Gvuro Tov Shal David. What does that mean? Kishaya Yoshe Vosek Torah. Once again, David the scholar, when he would study Torah, Haima'adin Atmo Ketolad. He was as delicate and as supple as a worm. In other words, he was humble. It doesn't mean that he was a slimy kind of worm. It means that he didn't stand on principle. He would kind of be humble and crunched over, so to speak. Like you see, a guy sitting over a sefer. When he would go out to war and battle, and he would be as strong like a tree. This wasn't you can have the combination of the scholar warrior, the Hesdi yeshiva, can actually happen, and David HaMelech is therefore the symbol of that. That's really what it's saying. And once again, this is the psukim. The pasuk continues. It's talking about this guy Etzion Adino Etzi Rosh Hashalishi who Adino Etzi Al Shmona Me'as Chalal B'Pam Echad. He would kill 800 warriors with one spear. Okay, that's what we're talking about. The pasuk's talking about this guy. His third warrior after Yoshe B'Shev and Takamoni was this guy Adino Etzi. What was he known for? He was known for killing 800 guys with one shot. Okay, that's how great a warrior was.
Use that guy today.
We could, yes, we could. That's right.
Hell of an arrow he had.
Okay, so once again, the way we understand this to mean is not, of course, it's not about this guy. Who is it about? David. Okay?
Well.
You say, well, David's a great warrior, yes, but 800 is not the number that you really want to get to. So the Gemara says as follows: but Shahaya Zorek Chetz Umapil Shmona Me'at Chalal B'Pam Achat, that David himself would shoot his arrow and hit 800 warriors with the power of his arrow. It means a very strong arrow with a lot of velocity. Just kept going. But V'Haimit Aner Al Matayim. But 800 is 800 out of 1,000. Think of it as batting 800. Think of it as getting an 80 out of 100. Okay, it means, but in other words, it's an unusual kind of number. You think they really counted 800? It means it wasn't a perfect score. So if you and I would say, well, that's close enough. That's a pretty good mark. And the answer is,
there are people who believe that ancient civilizations disappeared. They were more advanced than ours, right? Clearly, he had a weapon at the time. That this is one of those.
But whatever. But the point of David HaMelech is that he recognizes he sinned and therefore he's not a perfect man. This is the same symbolism coming again. He therefore he can't sit on the car and cassette. And therefore he's got to be humble. Therefore he has to be supple when he's learning. He's trying to make up for what he did wrong. Therefore he's hukam all for tshuva. So he got 800, but he was upset that he didn't score 1,000. And he quotes the pasuk from before the Tocha Echa Yirdav Echa Elef. How will one go after 1,000? By the way, this is where from the Tochacha, which is not so good. But you see that the best, in this case, is our enemies, was going to be hitting 1,000. So he only got 800, which means he said, "How come I didn't get the last 200?" Yotza Batkal V'Yamar. So the voice of God came out and said, "Rak b'dvar Uriah Hachiti." This is not from the same location, even in Shmuel Bet. This is from Malachim Aleph. This might have been after this past week's Haftorah. Well, this is actually from later on in Malachim.
So
later in Malachim.
After he said all these great things, somebody's reminding him about what he did to Uriah. Is that it?
God is reminding
him.
God is reminding him that you sinned and therefore you're not perfect. And therefore, as great a warrior as you are, you can never hit 1,000. You're never going to get 100%.
Yet Hashem is going to change things because of him, but still.
But you're a tzaddik. You're a tzaddik who's making up. But you got to remember that you can never reach where you were because you can never turn the clock back.
That's for sure.
This is the symbolism of David HaMelech. David HaMelech is this tragic figure, the warrior, the successful person, and yet, of course, something is lacking because he's never perfect. Because no one is perfect, and his story is told all over. His story is told through the Tanakh. So this is this long piece about the psukim in Shmuel Bet Perek of Gimel, which once again have nothing to do really with Nidui and Cherem. But having said that, I guess we're going to go back to Nidui as well. Okay, so last line here. Amar Rabbi Yaakov Barach Am Rav Simlai V'Amar Rav Tancha Bar Rav Huna V'Amar Rav Huna L'Chudei. So whoever said it, right? Then what did they say? Talmud Shenida L'Chvodo Niduyav Nidui. Okay, if a scholar puts someone into Cherem because his kavod was put down. His nidui is a nidui. In other words, and then we'll see exactly what that means. The Tanya, menudal Rav, menudal Talmud. Menudal Talmud ain't a menudal Rav. So we learned earlier on that says if a person puts a nidui upon if a scholar puts someone into a cherem, so the cherem applies to anyone of a lesser stature than that scholar. A person was disrespectful to the scholar, to surely be disrespectful to lesser scholars. Disrespectful to a greater scholar, you're disrespectful to a lower scholar. But on the other hand, menudal Talmud ain't a menudal Rav. But if he's disrespectful to a lower scholar, he may not be disrespectful to a higher scholar. So that's what we had learned earlier on. That made sense to us because we saw the ultimate was if you the nasi. right? But you may be treating a lesser scholar with disrespect that was inappropriate, but yet you recognize that the higher echelon of scholars you would be respectful for. So you wouldn't be cherem to the higher scholars, just lower scholars. The Gemara learns from this. L'rav hu de'ena menuda, holakuli alma menuda. So that's only that. I understand he's not going to be needed for a greater scholar. What about the lesser scholar he's putting cherem for? The lesser scholar puts someone in cherem, he's putting cherem to that lesser scholar, and anyone below him. So in other words, you see that there can be a situation where a lesser scholar can put someone in cherem, the cherem sticks. It's not going to put the guy in cherem for the higher scholar, but will put that person in cherem for the lesser scholar, and anyone below him. Now, what did this guy do to get into cherem? What did he do to get in the cherem that he's going to be in cherem for the rest of the society, but not for the big scholar? Why would a scholar put him into cherem? A lesser scholar put him into cherem, and you wouldn't be in cherem for a greater scholar. So we're trying to understand what that is. So the Gemara says, Lamai, Ibamila Dishmaya. If this was something that he disrespected, it was like apostasy. It was something heresy, right? So ein chachma vein tvuna vein eitzel neged Hashem. There's no levels. Person who rejects and rebels against God, against Torah, against whatever it is. So even if a lesser scholar should put him in, it should apply all across. Okay, it must mean that there was something where he felt that he was disrespected. Personal respect, and therefore you see that even though it's only a disrespect to that individual, the scholar had a right to put someone into cherem, and the cherem stuck. So that
stuck, but it applied to a whole bunch of other people.
Correct. It was a valid.
He only insulted me. All of a sudden, he's a cherem for everybody else.
Correct. So
below me, let's say.
So precisely, and therefore we see that Talmud Chacham, Talmud Shnida L'chvodo Niduya V'Nidu. That there's a power that Talmud Chacham had that he could put someone in cherem because of his kavod. That, by the way, if you remember last week, we had the case of the lady who was working on peeling something, and she had her foot out, and the guy said to her, and she went running to someone, and he said, did he say you're in cherem? And she said, no. He says, well, okay, then you're not in cherem, you're just in the zifa. Because I guess they were concerned that a scholar could enforce, his power, so to speak.
So here we're talking about nidui now, a little bit more than just, obviously.
It's not in the zifa, it's not shnida, it's nidu, yes, correct. Okay. All right, Rav Yosef. Tzur b'meirabanan. Okay, Tzur b'meirabanan is a lower form of a scholar. Okay, and this might be similar to what we just learned. Avid dina l'nafshe b'mila d'psikale, that he can decide something on something that's clear to him. Mila d'psikale. In other words, it's not clear. This either means it's a continuation of the previous statement. If something was clear to the lesser scholar, he could put him in cherem, or it might be unrelated, and saying that if a lesser scholar knows something is wrong or right, he can decide. He doesn't have to go and ask the older scholar, which he normally would be subservient to. How can I describe it? Someone goes over and says, do we say Yukom Porkim? Do we say Avarachamim? Right? So you don't have to go up to the rabbi and say, do we say Avarachamim? You say, everybody knows that because you know it from the Sholoach. Right? So that's not disrespect to the rabbi that he's sitting there and he's the Moed for the shul. On the other hand, if there was a question about something serious policy, whatever, you'd have to ask, that's not a mila de psikale. So this simply means that he can make decisions where they're simple decisions, that are clear decisions, even if there are greater scholars around him. Okay. Now we have a story. Hahud sur b'meirabanan, they have a sane shumane. There was a scholar, and there were bad kinds of rumors going about this person.
This is one of these lower scholars.
This is one of these lower scholars, correct? Okay. And the question what it is, Rashi says it was nus, and it doesn't mean that he was. Actually, Mizana means there were rumors that were circulating. There was a lot of smoke, and there wasn't a fire, so to speak. But the rumors were persistent. Okay, the rumors were persistent. Other Rishonim says no, it meant he was learning heretical books, or he may have been doing things that were inappropriate. But most of the Rishonim seem to say it has to do with sexuality. In other words, there were all kinds of stories that were circulating around this person. So Sane Shomane, that the shmua around him was sanui, was hateful. In other words, he didn't really, his behavior, the rumors about his behavior, the shmua about his behavior reflected poorly not just about him, but every scholar. Right? They say, who do these guys think they are? They can get away with breaking the rules. They look like they're pious, and yet they're not.
But it's still Lashon Hara, right?
Well, it was a recurrent kind of thing. Okay, recurrent kind of statement. Okay.
I mean,
Sounds like a
Okay.
it sounds like they're almost praising this shmua, and yet it is Lashon Hara.
Well, it is Lashon Hara. It's Lashon correct. But if it recurs, you have to try to investigate.
Lashon Hara could be true.
Yes, it could be correct. But in other words, this apparently kept surfacing. So Jack is saying, well, someone was bad mouthing him.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I guess, so pervasive that they felt it wasn't. Okay. Once again, it's not the Gemara is not clear what it was. Was he a heretic? Was he breaking certain rabbinical laws? Maybe like there were rumors, according to some Rishonim, he didn't keep Yisurim D'Rabbanan. Okay, he kept Yisur D'Oraisa, but some D'Rabbanan he was a little more. Now I want to say Mekel didn't keep, and or was issues about where he was hanging out or with whom he was hanging out with. Okay. Once again, it wasn't the how do you say it? It wasn't a smoking gun. It was a lot of embers, so to speak. Okay. So I'm Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda was very concerned. Heichin le'avdei. Like, what are we going to do? Like, so, and the Chazal had this power to use chayrim to bring people in line. Okay, they couldn't prove it, they couldn't prosecute him, and what would they do? So they said, "L'shamte, should we put him in chayrim? Well, maybe we should put him in chayrim. That'll smoke things out, so to speak, and then he'll come clean, or he'll change his ways, and then we'll see. That will. We're not defecting anything on him. We're just kind of bringing a lot of pressure on him." Okay, maybe even the threat of a cherem could change things. But if we put him in cherem, then we can't work with him. We can't relate to him. So l'shamte tzrich l'rabanan. We need him. We need his scholarship and we need his learning. So lo l'shamte. So not to put him into cherem. Call mitchel shema d'shmaya. He's mischala. He's making chilul Hashem. Shema d'shmaya. Shema Shemayim. He's making chilul Hashem, and that is bad. Not just for us as rabbis. It's bad for society. It's bad for people who will denigrate scholars and Torah learning. So what are we going to do? So Amalei l'Rabba bar Bachana. So Rabbi Yehuda did not know what to do. He turned to Rabbi Bachana and says, maybe you know. So me de Shmielach Baha. Did you ever hear anything about this? So Amalei Hacham Rabbi Yochanan. He quotes Rabbi Yochanan. Yisrael said the following: Ma'idechsiv. It's very famous pasuk. Kisiv sekon yishmudat v'tori vakshim epihu ki melch Hashem tzvakosu. Okay, so this is about Malachi is talking about the Kohen, but the Kohen in the days of Malachi, were in the days of the first base of Mikdash, the Kohen served two purposes. Rambam writes about this. The Kohanim were not just the ritual directors in the base of Mikdash; they were also the scholars. Absolutely. Right? You can go to Navi, but Navi wasn't always accessible. The Kohanim really kept the Masorah. So you don't find that in the second base of Mikdash so much, where it's more of a second base of Mikdash becomes more politicized and more of a political leader.
Which also makes you wonder a little bit about David HaMelech sitting in the yeshiva when it turns out it's the Kohen, but maybe the Kohanim were running the yeshiva.
Well, correct.
Yeah.
But there's still Melech. There's only one Melech and there are plenty of Kohanim.
Yeah. So
the Kohanim become the repositories of the Masorah. So you have to ask yourself, if you think about it, who passed the Masorah on the first base of Mikdash? Right? If you're a Bible scholar, you say, well, there was no Masorah. They invented it later. We don't believe that. We believe that what happened in Torah, right? Moshe Kibbutz Torah Sinai, Masorah Yeshua, Zekanim, and Nevi'im, and Nevi'im Lanchik Knesset Gdola. But that's a lot of period of time between Nevi'im and Zekanim to Lanchik Knesset Gdola. Who are these people? So Rambam says the Kohanim actually played a role. So
but they say Ki Malach Hashem.
Correct. So Malachi writes Ki Sifsei Kohen Yishmudat. The lips of the Kohen will keep dat. V'Tori Yavakshim Mipiyu. and there will last Torah from him. Malachi is writing what really is taking place.
Malachi lived
Ki Malach Hashem Tzvakosu, because he's the angel of Hashem, means he's really the messenger of Hashem. So if you want to know Torah, he's the one who's connected, he's the one who's there in the Beis HaMikdash, and he's the one who therefore can know things correctly, because that's all he does. He's in contact with Hashem. He's not sullied. He's not a warrior. He's not a farmer. He's there. What's he doing in the Beis HaMikdash?
When do we think Malachi lived? Malachi lived late, no? Like, I mean, in the 400s, maybe.
So,
certainly.
Question is, who even was Malachi?
Another question. No, but he certainly didn't live way. He was the last.
So he is one of the last. He's one of the last. Right, Chagai Zachar Malachi, the last Nevi'im.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is like maybe 400 or I don't know.
Whatever. But I'm saying, but it reflects the fact that a Kohen has a job here, not a ritual job. Sifsei Hashem, Sifsei Kohen Yishmudat. So no, if you want, so here's the point. If you wanted to refer to the Kohen as the repository of Torah knowledge, right, you did need to have the last 5 words. Period.
Right.
What's the last 5 words? He's an angel of Hashem. Doesn't mean he's not an angel. It's what you all said. He's not an angel. He's a human being.
Or maybe Malach here means messenger.
So I said messenger, but it's really out of place. What Malach is trying to say is that here, if you want to know Torah, go to the Kohen. Right. So the drash is, this is a drash they quote in Rav Yochanan, Emdoma harav lamalach Hashem. If the rabbi, in this analogy is the Kohen/rabbi, if he is like the Malach Hashem, which means he is upright and pure like the Malach Hashem, Yivakshu Torah Mipiu. So you can learn from Mipiv. V'imlav al Yivakshu Torah Mipiu. So then, if not, then you can't learn Torah from him. Torah can only be, the person has to lead by personal example. The person has a poor reputation. He's not the person you can learn Torah values from.
What about Levi during this time?
Levi?
They
were the gatekeepers and singers. They were
supposed to go around teaching.
I think they're supposed to teach.
Maybe they taught as well, but they may be teachers, like saying, there were teachers and then there were scholars.
Yeah.
So the Levium are the teachers, but who are the scholars? You had a Shiloh, who did you go? So once again, the simple Shiloh, you asked Levi, right?
Yeah.
But the questions, the major questions we have. See, in the second Beis HaMikdash, you have the institutions. You have Sanhedrin, you have Beis Nagadol. You have. It's very clearly spelled out. We don't know a whole lot about the first Beis HaMikdash.
They must have similar stuff.
We don't. What Shmona Esrei did they say in the first Beis HaMikdash? Mm-hmm. We know the second Beis HaMikdash had 18, then because it's called the Anshe Knesset Gdolah. And later they weren't sure the orders. They said Shimon Kuli comes along. They had a 19th one. What happens in the first Beis HaMikdash? What did they do? What do we know about? We don't know. We know very, very little.
Okay.
Right? In fact, the few things that we know seem to indicate, we don't believe it's correct, that they kept Torah more by not keeping it. There's idol worship. There's denial. Yoshua comes along and discovers the Sefer Torah again, and they say, "Whoa, we haven't kept all the holidays since the days of Yoshua." So we really don't have these details in the Nevi'im. Okay? But having said that, we do believe, and that's what the Rambam writes, that the repositories of the Masorah pass along person to person to person to person. It's oral. There's no Mishnah. There's no Midrashim. We don't have anything from the first Beis HaMikdash. It's all to the Kohen. By the way, what we think the Shemona Esrei of the first Beis HaMikdash was the first 3 brachos.
First 2?
3. L'Kel HaKadosh. And then people add what they want to add.
And I agree. Even the Kohanim are referred to often as Kohanim Halavim. We have a number of times.
Right, because they come from the tribe of Levi.
No, not just that they come, but they keep focusing the fact that they're Levim. So a number of places.
Is that a little less?
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
The story gets better. So Rav Bar Chana says, Rav Yochanan said that a person, if you want to learn Torah, you can only learn Torah if the person is an example that you can look up to. If this guy's got all kinds of rumors about poor behavior, he's not the kind of guy that we really want to go to, and we won't miss his scholarship, and we shouldn't even be looking at his scholarship because he's not Malach Hashem Tzvakos, Malach Hashem Tzosu. So therefore, what did they do? Boom. So Shamte. So Shamte Rav Yehuda. So Rav Yehuda put him in Chayram, took the advice. So this poor guy is put in Chayram, and we don't know, he does not have a name, by the way, right?
Right.
It's actually an extremely sad story, just to warn you for the ending here. L'sof ichlesh Rav Yehuda. So Rav Yehuda got sick. When it means he got sick, it means he's getting sick and it's the end of the days. It means this is his terminal illness, is what Ichlash means. So Asa Rabbanan L'Shule Bey. So the rabbis came to ask him, they wanted to see if they could be matir to undo this cherem he was put under. Sometimes the cherem can be for a finite time. This guy was put in indefinite until he changes, until he comes clean, until he clarifies what he did. Or, and apparently the rumors kept swirling, even after he's put in cherem. So the rabbis came to Rabbi Yehuda, and he's on his deathbed, so to speak. He's very weak. And also Iyu Nami Badayu. And the Surbe Rabbanan, who's in cherem, came with him. Right? And by the way, you see from this that the person in cherem does not have to be completely isolated. He comes in. You'll see from the story, he's right there with Rabbi Yehuda.
Right.
Okay? You don't have to send an interpreter. So, Kadchazi Rabbi Yehuda, when Rabbi Yehuda saw this guy, the Super Rabbana, he put in cherem, what does he do? Chayich! He begins to laugh. Okay, so Amalei, so this poor guy in cherem, not a poor guy, the guy in cherem says, Lo mistayech, it's not enough the shamte lu gava that you put this guy in the cherem, means me. It's not enough you put me in cherem, elachuche nami chayech bi, but you're laughing at me? How insensitive can you be? It's bad enough you put me in cherem, but I'm here, we're trying to kind of fix this, and you're making jokes, you're laughing at me, you're mocking me. So Amalei, so he said to the Tzur Rabbana, who's in cherem, I'm not laughing at you. I'm smiling in satisfaction. When I will come to Olam Haba, remember there's Rabbi Yehuda who's facing death in the eye. There's a terminal illness. So b'dicho, I will laugh. I will be happily smile with satisfaction that even to a person like you, I didn't how should I say chanif? I didn't appease, I didn't buy out, sell out to a person like you. In other words, I made the right decision, and even though that I know this is the end, I know when I will come to the Olam Emes, I will be vindicated, and therefore I'm not going to change my mind. And sure enough, what happens? Nach Nafshi Rabbi Yehuda, he's dead. He's all over. It's like Shakespeare in play. So, also Lebei Medrasha. So after Rabbi Yehuda dies, this poor guy's still in the cherem. So the guy comes to the Beis Medrash. Amrulu, he says, surely, find a way to be matir this cherem. Rabbi Yehuda is no longer here. I'm stuck. I'm in limbo. I'm in the netherworld. So Amalei Rabbanan. So the rabbi said, Gavra the chashiv Rabbi Yehuda leka hacha. I'm sorry, Gavra the chashiv Rabbi Yehuda leka hacha lishvilach. There's no one as great as Rabbi Yehuda here anymore to allow you out of the cherem. Right? We're all nobodies. We're second-rate scholars. The great Rabbi Yehuda, who alone has the scholarship, he's gone. Right? This is like we felt after the Gedolim from Europe passed away. There was this feeling that we hadn't reproduced indigenous North American Gedolim, which is not true. We've done that. So after Moshe Feinstein died, right? You've heard the term many times. Ador Yasam. It's an orphan generation. Okay. So what do they say? We can't help you. Elazil Gabeid Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya. Go to Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya. Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya was the grandson of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Okay. So the Lishvelach, that maybe he can find a way to allow you to get out of the cherem. He was also a great Talmud Chacham. So Ozil Kamei. So he goes to Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya and he says the same thing. Find a way to get me out. So Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya says, Amalei to Rabbi Ami. He says to Rabbi Ami. Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya says to Rabbi Ami, Puk ayem bedine. Go pull up his folder. Pull up his file, look into what is there. If you can find a way to allow him to get out of the cherem, allow him out of the cherem. So, sure enough, we don't have the details here. Ian Rabbi Ami Bedinis. Rabbi Ami went to look at the case. He looked at all the case, the data. So he was going to allow the guy out of cherem. Look how close he gets. So Amar Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani al Raglav. So he comes to the Beis Medrash. Says,
"Was he involved in the first case?
No. This is
Bar Nachmani. No,
no, it's Rav Bar Chana was the first case. No, Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani is not a random guy. He's a very famous guy.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if he had an interest.
But actually, you'll see from the continuation, he normally was not in the Beis Medrash. He was very sick. He happened to show up in the Beis Medrash that day. So this poor guy, came the wrong gate. So he got up and he says, Mashiv Choshabeis Rebbe, Lo Nagu Chachamim Kalas Rosh Beniduya Shalosh Shonim. So the Shivcha of Rebbe, there are a lot of stories about the Amta, the base Rebbe, how clever she was, and smart she was, and stories about her with Rebbe and how Rebbe really relied upon her. But apparently, when she saw something that was inappropriate, she would also put people in Cherem. She's a Shivcha. And of course, what does it mean that a Shivcha puts someone in Cherem? It means very little, but they respected that. The scholars understood that if she was with Rebbe, she was not just a regular Shivcha, she was an A-plus Shivcha, and therefore her Cherem remained for 3 years. They eventually were matir whatever Cherem she was, but if she saw some people who were disrespectful to Rebbe, perhaps, or something like that, so they didn't simply just say, she's a Shivcha, she's a nobody. They said, so you see that a Cherem, putting a person in Cherem has a certain degree of solemnity and validity, and you can't just simply be disparaged and put aside. So this is if the Shivcha based Rebbe, we respected her, they respected, the previous generation, her Cherems for 3 years. So Yehuda Chavereino Lachas Kama Bakama, our Yehuda, our colleague, this is Rabbi Yehuda who died, we're going to be, surely we have to respect his Cherem. Okay, so this is what Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani said. Now, Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani is simply an individual, but look at the continuation. Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Zera got up to say afterwards, the Kaman, the Asa Ha'idna, Haisaba Beved Medrasham. Says, what is it for us, in front of us? And this is like an unusual incident that this old Saba, this old scholar, so referring to Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani, decided just today to come to the base Medrash. The Hakama Shani Lo Asi. For many years he hasn't been able to come. It means he wasn't angry, he couldn't physically come. But today he decided to come back to the base Medrash and see what's going on. So it must be it's Basher. Shmamina Lomi Baila Mishrele. So it must be that the fact that he was here today was not simply random, it was all part of the divine plan, and therefore we should not allow this guy to be out of the Cherem. Okay? And sure enough, Lo Sharilei, they didn't allow him to leave the Cherem, they kept him in the Cherem. Nafik, he went out. Kabachi Ve'azil, he was crying and going, because he was like, this is the end, like he tried all the avenues, he's stuck forever, he's like in the twilight zone. So Asi Zibura, Zibura is a hornet, a wasp. A wasp came along, Vertarkea Amte, so it stung him on his Amah. Now Amah can mean, of course, like an Amah is like an arm, but an Amah is a euphemistic term for the penis. So it's used in many places. So in other words, he was stung right there, and apparently it was a deadly sting, and it's such an innervated kind of organ with a lot of blood service, and therefore whatever was the poison spread, the shachiv, and he died. Okay, this, by the way, is why Rashi and the other Rishonim say that the sin that he was suspected of doing was sexual. Right? Because the stories all have a purpose. This is not random. Right? Mida connected Mida. Correct. So that's probably what the story is all about, right? So he dies this ignoble death, and that shows that he was really, and that shows, by the way, it was right to keep him in Cherem, that all the rumors had, of course, been correct all along. Okay, so what are they going to do with him? He's dead.
What are they going to do with him?
We got to bury him.
I would hope
so. He's a scholar. He's not a nobody.
Can't we bury him with the rest of everybody else? Cherem doesn't exist anymore, does it?
Well, yes, but no. Of course, you can bury everyone else. But I'm saying, but there were different places where different people were buried. For example, there was a basic chorus for Rishayim.
Doesn't if you're a Cherem,
you hang a criminal, you still have to.
You can't go. Like that's what they would do. They put you in a Cherem. You couldn't get married. You couldn't get buried. You're getting buried in a Jewish cemetery.
You were buried in a Jewish cemetery. You were buried in Jewish cemetery.
Hang a guy, and then he has
you were always buried in Jewish cemetery. You eventually had to be buried in Jewish cemetery. So, but there is another. So he's not really a Russia. He's not really a Russia. So he's a Russia. No one proved anything about it, right? It's all circumstantial at best. And the way he died only supports that, but that's not really a proof. That's divine justice, so to speak, or who knows. So where they're going to bury him? Once again, there is this kind of caste system that you don't bury a tzaddik next to a rasha. Okay, it's actually very strong that B'Sham were buried in one place, tzaddikim were buried in another place. This guy's still considered tzaddik. He's just got a very bad name. Okay. Right. That's why in the cemeteries there are different areas. Right.
So they see, like Rebbe families will have one area and it's
Right.
fenced off.
That's why the fences are there. By the way, the fences are there. The idea, by the way, is that you can't be buried. Tzaddik can't be buried next to the Rosh. So how far away should he be?
Right.
Right. So it actually should be 4 amos. Okay. So 4 amos, or it should be some kind, or if it's gated off, then it looks like it's really a separate cemetery. That's why these gated areas have. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure in your cemetery do they have gated separate areas with.
We have
bushes.
Orthodox and this and that, but we don't have.
Do you have bushes between the areas between?
We always have either.
At Baker's Lawn, there are a couple of gated areas.
Right. But I'm saying, but the bushes are the same thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't see it here. If you go to the old cemeteries in New York, I mean, you see it all the time. You have family plots, and family plots have these big fences all around it.
Sure.
That was really to ensure that they wouldn't be buried next to the Rishayim. Okay, whatever. So, and by the way, even in Rishayim, what of course makes a person Rasha, he was executed by the Beis Din. So, Gemara in Sanhedrin talks about the fact different types of execution were buried in different parts of the cemetery. Okay, because the different types of misa were of a different caliber. Ad kedei kach. Okay, so
they never killed too many people, so it's pretty empty.
However it was, whatever that section was.
They went for 70 years.
Okay, all right. A basin that killed every 7 years was a killing basin, correct?
It was empty there.
All right, but whatever it was, after 70 years, there was someone in there every 70 years. So the bottom line was where they're going to bury him. So they take him up to Ailahu Lamarasa de Chasida. They took him up to the cave where the Chasidim, not Chasidim as you know them, but people who are, do Gemilas Chesed do, Velo Kibluha, and they didn't take him in. In other words, it's not clear what it means they didn't take him in. Somehow something happened that he was not able to go in. In other words, it looks like you'd have to.
They blocked the road.
Who blocked the road? The animals blocked the road.
The good guys.
It's not clear what it means that they did. Who's not letting him in? Right? Who's not letting him in? Are the families of Hasidim not letting him in? The ghosts are not letting him in. There are wild animals, bears that are protecting the kever. Okay, something happens. So Ailuha Lamarasa the Dayane, Vikibluha. So they took him up to the Ara of the Dayanim, and there they buried him, and they accepted him there. So it's interesting. So he's not buried with the Hasidim, but with the judges. So you see, even though why? So the Gemara says, "My timer," and this someone mentioned before we came in about going to a place and sitting when no one sees you. My timer, the Avad Rabbi Loi, because the person did like Rabbi Loi, and why were there rumors about him? Because if he was going to sin, he must have sinned where no one can see him. So the rumors that surfaced were only rumors about rumors, because no one ever saw this, because he went where no one could tell him. Okay, so the Tanya Rabbi Lo Yomer Imroa Adam Shitzo Meskaberlov Yelech Lamokom Shimakirin also. If a person feels that he cannot really control his Yetzer Hara, go to a place that people don't recognize him. Yilbash Shchorim, wear dark clothing. Visatev Shchorim, wear dark clothing. V'yasam Ashli B'chafetz, and do what he has to do. V'aychal Hashem Shema B'farhesia. Okay. Now, there's a couple of points here. First of all, there's a very kind of dangerous statement here.
No, but that's it. Says leave your wife, go to another city.
So I ordered an apple. Look how it came.
So first of all, the Rishonim try to jump hoops to try to say this is not what it means. It doesn't mean that you go there and sin. No one is giving you a carte blanche, a license to go somewhere and do bad things.
If you're going
to sin. The way they try to explain it is, if you have to go to a far-off place, and you by wearing all this dark, scary clothing and everything, and Yilbash Shechorim, and Yisatev Shechorim, so you begin to think about what you're doing. By the time you get there, you won't do what you have to do. You won't do the bad things you're supposed to do.